Hi, my name is Danelle and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about knitting and hand dyeing yarn. I'm coming to you from southeastern Wisconsin where I live with my husband, my 2 kids, and my dog. And I'm going to have a pretty structured format to my episodes where I'm going to talk about what I'll call the vital few, which will be a few things about myself or what's going on in my life, as opposed to the great many things that I could talk about. I'm going to go then into finished objects, which will be completed knitting projects that I've finished within the last few weeks, and then works in progress, which will always be the biggest part of my episodes because I'm a caster-oner and I love to cast on new projects all the time and try new yarns. And then I'll go into a quick book club at the end. So it'll be pretty, hopefully quick. I'm hoping my episodes will be between 20 and 30 minutes. In fact, this is my 3rd time doing this because I keep trying to cut down and cut things out. So I'm going to start right away with the vital few for this week, and it's going to be a little bit longer than normal. Normally this will be just a few minutes, maybe even a minute, we'll see. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and my knitting journey and why I decided to start this channel. So I started knitting about 10 years ago. I don't really know, there was no crafting in my childhood. I didn't have my great-grandmother, who was the only grandmother I ever knew. She was a farmer. My mom was not a crafter. She worked full-time, and my husband and I married pretty young. We've been married for 17 years, which is crazy. And while in our first couple of years of marriage, I decided I wanted to go and get a master's degree in creative writing. Great. So I did that, and it was really hard because I was working full-time for the first time in my life and going to night classes with a long commute in either downtown Chicago or Evanston, Illinois, and there was a lot of traffic, and it was a lot, and I got a lot out of the program, and it was wonderful, and I'm really glad I did it, but I was very burned out afterwards. And before I got out of my stage of being burnt out, I became pregnant with my daughter. And I know there are people who can write and do other great professional things when they are pregnant and having children, but I was not one of those people. It took a lot. It took my whole focus to work full-time, deal with childcare, and have a baby. So that's, and I have no regrets. It was great, and it was good, and my degree will always be there for me, so I'm fine with that. And I don't know if it was before or after my son was born that I learned how to knit. So it's somewhere between like 10 and 12 years ago that I learned, because my daughter is 12 and my son is going to turn 10 in a couple months. So we're right around that time. And what happened was I had a boss that would wear these beautiful hand knit sweaters to work. And I was like, those are just stunning. And I don't think I can ever do that, but I would really like to learn how to knit. Could you teach me? And she said yes. And she was the first person out of 3 people that said yes. So, and I get the people that said no, because I don't think I would want to teach anyone how to knit either. But my boss was a self-taught knitter. So she taught me how to cast on, knit and purl. But the cast on was kind of funky, and I knew there was another way to cast on because she alluded to it. And so I ended up then going to a since closed knitting shop, and I don't even remember what town it was in. It was north of Chicago, no, not Chicago, north of Milwaukee. And I took like a 30-minute class with a woman who taught me the long tail cast on and made sure that I was good with my knitting and purling and sent me on my way. So that was great. And then, I'm not sure how, but I discovered Craftsy, and I really loved Craftsy before it became Blueprint because that was what I needed. My mom had told me growing up, because she never taught me how to cook, but she told me, I taught you how to read, right? So if you can read, you can cook. So I kind of took that philosophy to knitting, and I was like, okay, I can read, I just need to learn how to read patterns. So Craftsy really helped me with that, like what the symbols mean, what it means when they tell you to do this. And I took a few classes, and eventually the grocery girls were on there doing like a little 15-20 minute podcast, and I loved them. I mean, who doesn't love grocery girls? And I found I wanted more of that, just the people who were sitting there talking about knitting. And so then I checked out their YouTube channel, and I don't know if I was just a late bloomer with YouTube, but I didn't really realize how much was out there on YouTube. So then I watched all of their episodes up until that point. I followed recommendations for other podcasts on their episodes and watched them, found new yarn dyers, found new projects, and was just really inspired. So I have really been relying on my YouTube podcast friends, I call them, because I wait for them to publish new episodes to get me through this pandemic, because we are living in a pandemic right now, and it's been really, really tough at times, you know. So I found that I was just really, really waiting to see another podcast, and then I thought, maybe it's time for me to do this. I have the time. I'm home all the time. I've been working full-time from home for about 4.5 years. Now my kids and my husband are home too, and my kids think this is the greatest thing I've ever done. They're like, you're gonna be YouTube famous, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be YouTube famous. Knitters don't really get YouTube famous, but I'm hoping to kind of meet some other knitters, because I don't have any friends in real life that are knitters that I can talk to about my knitting. So, you know, sometimes when you finish something really great, you just want to talk about it. And so I'm hoping to talk and interact with some people through this channel. So let's dive into finished objects. Yay! So the first finished object that I have for you today is a really big one. This is the Mystery Make-Along by Stephen West, and it's called the Slipstravaganza. And I knit this in about 6.5 weeks. Took a long time, and it was a mystery, but I think it's been out long enough. I'm not going to do spoilers. Plus, I don't know how to do spoilers, so I should also just put in here, I don't know how to edit videos. I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to try, and I promise I will try to get better at it, but I just wanted to do this for the first time to see how it goes, so I will work on it. But anyway, here is the Slipstravaganza. It is really, really big and beautiful. And there, hopefully you saw it well enough. I'm not very good at this yet. I'll work on that too. I'm going to put it on while I talk about it. So this, like I said, took me about 6.5 weeks of my life, and it was a stressful 6.5 weeks of my life. I think everybody knew that the United States presidential election was going on, which was very stressful for all of us until the results came out. It was a really hard time in this country, and I think everybody just felt like, oh, this is really hard. So that was happening. I had some stressful things going on at work, and so this was not really relaxing to work on in the evenings. But then after I got through all that, I really, really love this. It's gonna maybe sound like I don't love it when I talk about it, because I do have some feelings, but so there's no question, I love this. So when you do a mystery make-along, you're given clues and you're told to pick, you know, colors, and you need this much yarn. And so I picked really fall colors, and I'm really happy. I love every single color I used a lot. But one thing I will say is, if I would have seen what I was making, I would have made different choices, because if you follow the hashtag for the Slipstravaganza on Instagram, you get to see a lot of beautiful shawls. And mine is one of them. I totally think mine is one of them, but I think had I seen other color choices, I would have made a different choice. Like, my favorite one that I saw was someone that used 4 different shades of, I think, blue, and it just was so pretty with the 4, like, just different colors, different shades of the same color. Or I think I would have done it in 2 colors instead of 4, honestly. So when I started, I did the first clue, and I will tell you a little bit about the yarns I used in a minute, but I did the first clue, which is really fun. It's this honeycomb part here. And when I would look at the spoilers, because I have no shame, I need to know what I'm doing here, I wasn't loving the stripes, but I thought, you know, I'm really going to follow this exactly because I want to have that experience, but I didn't love the stripes. And then when I did mine, I feel like it looks, and this is probably just me because I'm Midwestern, but I feel like it looks like Chicago Bears colors, and that really kind of bothered me. But I just went with it because it was a lot of work, and I wanted to keep up with the mystery make along, so I didn't change anything or do anything. So then the next part was really cool, how you pick up along the edge here and it makes these holes, which was really neat. I really loved that. And oh, but just going back to this, I wish what I would have done is just done the rows in solid colors and just alternated the colors instead of putting the stripes in there. And then the next part was great. And then this part is where I started to really, it was that hard week of work, and I really wasn't loving it, because I was also, you're getting to a point where you have like 400 and some stitches on your needles, and I realized my cord just wasn't long enough and I needed a new cord. So I ordered a new cord from Amazon. It came, I ripped it out, I started knitting, and I was like, my gauge is really different. I think this is the wrong size. But I wasn't willing to go back because I'd already had to re-knit a few rows, and I dropped some stitches that I couldn't recover from. So I just kept going, and I got through that section. So, but if you look really carefully, you might notice that the top of the triangle, the rows are thicker than the bottom. It's fine. Nobody can tell unless I tell them. So then my favorite part of the whole shawl was these short row triangles that I did with green yarn. It's a really neat technique. Something I'd never done before, super cool, I loved it. And then you end with these chevrons, and you could do 3 more rows, but I did so that you would have had 6 total, but I only did 3 because you had 900 and some stitches on your needle at that point. And so for me, that took me 40 minutes at minimum per row. I'm not that fast, especially with purling. And that's a lot of time out of my life, and I wanted to move on to other things. So I just sort of, I was okay not doing that for any longer. So it's over. It has a beautiful I-cord bind off in the main color, which I really, really love. And I actually did not mind doing the I-cord bind off. And this knitting is the easiest in the whole shawl. It's just a lot of stitches on your needles, but I loved it. And the yarn that I used, my main color, which is this beautiful speckled gray here, that kind of goes throughout the entire shawl. That was from Lay Family Yarns in the Industrial Heritage color. And then the copper color here is Copper Cloud by Leading Men Fiber Arts in their Diva base. And then this is also Leading Men color in Don't Fear the Reaper, and it's like a grayish blue. So sometimes it looks gray and sometimes it looks blue, which I thought was really interesting. And then the green was a beautiful green skinny yarn from ZoYarns Paris. It's ZoYarns Paris. And I'm not going to pronounce the colorway name for you because I'm not French and I don't know how. But it's a beautiful green color from there. So this was a joy to knit. I am happy with the end result. I mean, how could I not be? It's fall colors, which is what I wanted. And it's like a piece of art. It's just beautiful, and I really, really love it. Even though if I could go back and make different choices, I might have. And I'll never knit it again. It's not because I don't like the pattern. I'm not someone who ever knits the same thing twice unless it's a vanilla sock. So I just don't like that. But it's gorgeous. I love it. It's huge. Definitely huge enough for me. I don't need it to be any longer than this. So that was that. And if you're not following the hashtag on Instagram, I would, because it's very inspiring even just to see color combinations. So after I finished that, I was really in the mood for just something chunky. I didn't want to work with fingering weight yarn. And that was 6 weeks of my life as a monogamous project. Sorry, that came out really awfully. I don't like to work on one thing, but that was all I could handle with what was going on outside of my knitting world as well. So then after that, I just really wanted something fast, and my family's been asking me to make them Christmas stockings for the last few years, and I didn't really want to, but it was bothering my husband because my kids and I all had like 3 that kind of matched, and then he had this like oddball one on the end that didn't match. And I thought it was kind of funny, but I can understand that he didn't. So I made some stockings. I had some really chunky yarn in my stash. It is Bernat Softee Chunky Tweed, I think, and this is in the Burgundy Tweed color. It's really pretty. It's got these specks of like purples and beige in there and white. And then for the cuffs and heels, I just used scraps I had laying around the house, and I held them double, triple, or quadruple, depending on how thick I needed it. And I just improvised a sock pattern. That's all I did. So I think I cast on 44 stitches and did ribbing until it looked good. Did the body of the sock, and then I did a fish lips kiss heel for the heels because I know it by heart, and then a shorter toe because I mean these are huge. They don't need anything else. So this one's mine, and it's just white and red, and then the tweed, and then my daughter's, they're all just a little bit different at the top, and that's how we can tell them apart. My daughter's has some purple in it, and it's the same. Then my son's I really love. It's got this like pretty blue color. And for the for this I just braided 3 pieces of yarn together and put knots. I don't mind. I like it. It's fine. It kind of makes it look homemade. So that's his. And then my husband got his. Here it is. And his has some brown in it, and his might be my favorite because it just reminds me of like gingerbread colors, and I really love that. So there they are. I don't have to spend a lot of time on these. They were fun. I think I knit them in a week, which is really fast for me. It just goes to show how fast chunky yarn will knit up and how much I wanted to do something else. So I still have 2.5 balls of this yarn, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. I might make a bulky sweater. There's a couple cool ones that have come out lately, so I don't know. Is it weird to match your Christmas stockings? Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know if I care either. So I might do that. And then my third finished object, and I probably won't ever have this many finished objects ever again, but we'll see. I mean, I have been knitting more during the pandemic than I ever have before. So I made myself a hat. And this is the Rosie Sunflower hat by Jodi Brown of the Grocery Girls. And there you go. And this, I used a hat kit from Aves Fiberworks, I think. Last time I did this, I had all my tags and I had notes, and now I don't. But so the main color is Merino DK in Raven, and then the contrast is a Mohair, and it's called Mockingbird. And then this is the pom-pom that came with the kit, and I didn't know if I loved it. I don't know why. I mean, it's a black pom-pom. I don't know. But I do, and I love this hat, and it looks really cute on me, and I'm really pleased with it. So yeah, I'm getting a new coat for Christmas this year, a black coat, because I have so many different color hats, and I have like an olive green coat right now, and some of them clash, and I just feel like I'll have more freedom with a black coat. So this was my first hat I made to go with my black coat, so I'm excited about that. So that is it for works in progress. No, it's not. That's it for finished objects. Now we're going to move into works in progress. I promise I will get better at the talking. This is my first time. I'm doing the best I can. I'm a little nervous. So my first work in progress is for my sister, who she's my best friend, and she lives out in Seattle, and I miss her a lot. And for her birthday, I started these socks last year. So this is like my longest whip. One of my longest whips, because my sister has pretty large feet, so I don't always feel inspired to work on them, but they are the cutest socks, and when I told her I didn't know if I'd finish them in time for her birthday, she sounded a little disappointed, so I'm going to try to do it and send them for Christmas for her. So I made the police box socks. This is a pattern I found on Ravelry. It's really cute. I really like it. It's Doctor Who inspired, and if you just type in police box socks in Ravelry, they come up. It's really great. And I'm using a kit from London House Yarns. I don't know if she still makes these kits or they, but here's the tag. And it's the bigger on the inside sock set. And the blue is called the Doctor, and the black is called black, and the white is called white. So super creative there with the colorways. But I love these. And so my mom has a size 10.5 foot and my sister has an 11. So I had my mom try these on, and they're actually getting close to the toe. So I think I'm gonna do another 1/2 inch to inch and start closing up for the toe. But I've made my sister socks in the past, and she's always like, they're just a little too short. So I think I'm gonna go longer than I think I should, because I mean, let's be honest, these are adorable, but they're gonna be house socks. So if they're a little big, I think that's better than them being snug. So I'm hoping to at least finish this sock and get through the don't know why I'm having such a hard time with what this part of the sock is called today, but get through until the heel of the next sock within the next week or so. It shouldn't be that hard if I concentrate. So concentration is hard though sometimes in a pandemic. And then this is a bag. Oh, I'm gonna remember to show my bags. This is a bag by Catherine Fairley Designs, and I got this quite a while ago, but she presses leaves onto fabric and then stitches around, and it's really beautiful. And I have tried to sew a few different times in my life, and I just can't do it. It's not for me. So I really appreciate and love well-made bags, and I've had this one for 4 or 5 years now, and it's just lovely, and I still love it just as much. So this is a great bag. I believe I got it through Etsy. My next socks, and they're in this great chestnut fibers bag. Sure I'm right. Yes, I'm right. And it's got ice skating sheep, which in a former life, I was an ice skater and an ice skating coach, so anything with sheep and ice skates makes me very happy. But these next socks are for my dad, who also has very large feet. He has size 11 men's feet, and he has flat feet. And this is my first time ever making a sock for him, so I'm a little nervous. But here's the sock, and I actually dyed this yarn myself. So this was the very first skein of yarn that I dyed. It's a skein of Knit Picks Stroll undyed that I bought from the Knit Picks website. I didn't want to invest a lot of money in undyed yarn until I knew that I could do this. So I really love how it turned out. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, and this is pretty awesome. And if you haven't ever used Knit Picks Stroll, it's really soft. I'm a little worried that these are gonna pill and get fuzzy on him, but I'll make him another pair then, because I love making socks and it's not that big of a deal. So I just did a fish lips kiss heel yesterday. Last night we watched Titanic with my daughter, Rite of Passage. She wanted to watch it, and it's like, well, it's Thanksgiving weekend here in the US, so why not? And so I got quite a bit done last night on this, and I just started this last week, so I'm doing pretty well on it. I love knitting socks. I always knit them magic loop on US size 1s unless I'm doing like a color work or something and they recommend a different needle size. I do also do heel flap and gusset from time to time, but to me, fish lips kiss heels are just so easy, and I can memorize it, and then I can get through that heel really quickly and keep going. So unless I'm really in the mood to do a heel flap and gusset, I usually just do the fish lips kiss heel. All right, I'm not sponsored by her, I swear, because I have another chestnut fibers bag. She's just, I really like her bags. So this is another bag, and this one has really cute inside too. And then this is a half-finished object, so it's called a hoe. And this is for my daughter. I started these a long time ago too. So she almost has adult size, well, she does have adult size feet now, I should say. I wear a size 8.5 lemons US, and she's a 7.5. And I have to say this yarn, this is Night Owl Fibers Barn Owl base in the coral reef color. And this is a little snug. Like, she really has to like shimmy and pull it onto her foot, but then it fits. I haven't tried it on her recently, so hopefully her foot hasn't grown too much, but she did want a contrast color for the heel, and I have no idea what this is. I just found it in my little yarn fish. I don't know if you can see it in the background. I'm not sure where it came from, but that's what I did. I think it looks really good. This is a beautiful colorway. I love self-strapping yarn, and she's really good. I really like her stuff. So this is the cake. Isn't this just so pretty? Oh, goodness, I can't. There. Look at all those colors. So pretty. And then this is how far I am on the second sock. I thought I was much further than this. So I want to give these to my daughter for Christmas, so I'm going to have to get moving on that if I want to get it done. So a lot of socks this week for works in progress. It won't always be so sock heavy, but it is today. And then my last work in progress is, it's going to be a holiday tree. It just looks like a blob right now. Here it is. This is a pattern by, gosh, I can't remember, but I got it from Webs, and I'm using Valley Yarns. I bought their kit, And what you do is you knit this cone and then you put it on one of those foam cone or tree foams. Foam trees from the craft store. And I just put this on the tree, and I'm supposed to do a lot more knitting. And I'm almost at the top. So I think I'm just gonna fudge the top and call this one done. And I'm hoping to do, these are the colors. It's kind of a mess. I think one is ocean, one is stratosphere, possibly. It's on the Valley, or on the Web's website, holiday trees. I've had this kit for about a year, and I really want to work through this yarn this winter, so I'm hoping to make several of these trees. There are different sizes you can make, and I want to give them away to family for Christmas, maybe have a few for myself for decorations at the house, and get through that yarn because I don't want to store it anymore. And I will just say really quickly that I am joining Sam from Hand Me My Knitting this year for a no-buy year. And she is doing it in all aspects of her life, but I'm really just doing it in my crafting aspect of life because I probably have enough yarn to last me the next 50 years comfortably. So I don't need anything else. There is exactly one more sweater kit that I'm going to buy before the end of the year because it's for a sweater I want to make this year, and it's yarn that I really want to use and try. So maybe I'll show it when it gets here, but I'm talking to the dyer, and hopefully I'll be able to purchase it in the next week, and that'll be my last fiber purchase for 2020, and I'm gonna start 2021 on a no-buy yarn fiber crafting anything. So, and maybe another time I'll tell you about all the other crafts that I'd like to try that I've bought things for, and I haven't. And I'm just gonna very quickly show you a few things that I'm gonna get on my needles this week for Christmas, because these will be probably works in progress next week. So my son wants a hat out of this Patton's Croix yarn. I'm holding this really strange, hopefully you can see. There. And then the color is, it's a really popular color. I see a lot knit in this. I really wanted to do socks for him, but he wants a hat. So I think I'm gonna start a sock head hat for him with this. I thought about maybe doing a DK weight hat and holding a double, but I'm afraid that the stripes won't match up perfectly. So I think I'm just gonna do the sock head hat. But this hopefully will go on the needles soon. It's really great yarn. I think he's gonna love it. So, and he picked it out. And this is another Chestnut Fibers bag. I'll try to switch some bags around, so I'm showing some other bags next time. I love the inside of this one. Green's my favorite color, so that makes me happy. And then the last thing is gonna be for my daughter. I'm planning to make her a hat for Christmas, and I'm gonna make her the slip stitch beanie, I think it's called, by Jodi Brown. And I made one for myself, and it's a great hat, and it has a smaller size, so I'm gonna make it for my daughter in these two colors. And this is from Aves Fiberworks. Oh, I think I have the tag, so I can tell you. Yeah, and I could be saying this wrong. That's the tag. All of her colors are based on birds. So this is, the gray is African Gray Merino DK, and then the pink is Pink Cockatoo, and that's a Mohair Mulberry Silk. And I like these smaller skeins of yarn because you don't have a ton left over and you're wondering what to do with them. And then the kit came with this pom-pom, and it's good. It'll be great. I'll use it great. But what I'm gonna do with this one, because these pom-poms, I really like ones that have snaps better. This one comes with this elastic, and I've been hearing from other podcasters about how you can sew a button to the bottom of these to secure them onto the top of your hat, and it'll make the pom-pom more secure, and then you can remove them to wash. And I think I'm gonna do that because I'll want to wash her hat for sure. And I didn't do that on the one I made for myself. And now I wish I had. So I'm gonna be trying that technique. I'll let you know how it goes. So that's what I have for works in progress and I guess future knits. And so I'm just gonna very quickly do a little book club here at the very end and tell you what I finished reading lately. So I did finish listening to a book on Audible. It's called Hollywood Park by Mikhail Jolet. And he is the lead singer of the band The Airborne Toxic Event. and it's a memoir, and it's really good. I really, really liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. He was born in a cult, and so it kind of starts out with his mom rescuing him from the cult, and then how he grows up, and you know, the dynamic between his relationships with his family members, and you know, everything from all these different relationships and how they take off and how they form who he is. And he's a really good writer. I love their music because every song kind of sounds like you're being told a story, and that really comes through in his writing of the book. It's great. It paints a wonderful picture of the 80s as well. I just felt like I was brought back to my childhood. I did grow up as a small child in the 80s, not as a teenager or anything. I was born just before the 80s started. So there's a lot of like imagery in his writing that just brings me back to that feeling of the 80s. And I don't know if you can really describe it unless you lived it. Maybe you can get it really well in some movies too. But it's an excellent book, and I would recommend it. And I'm not going to say too much more about it because I feel like that's all I have to say. So right now I'm reading, I'm just going to grab it. It's over here. Before bed, I'm reading this book. It's called The Last of the Moon Girls by Barbara Davis. And I'm this far. And my books that I read before bed, I usually read a couple pages, maybe a few chapters, but usually not a lot, because when I go in bed, it's easy for me to fall asleep. So I don't read. This will be a slow book for me, but I am enjoying it. It's about, you know, a woman who's got some sort of supernatural abilities through her family, the Moon family, all women that own this farm. And she goes back after a family member passes away and kind of tries to get to the bottom of a murder. So it's sort of right down my alley, with a little supernatural, with a little murder, with a little possibly maybe some romance, I don't know. And I really like all different types of books. I like really great, well-written books, and I also like trashy books. I think there's a place for everything, depending on the mood you're in. And this one is just a contemporary fiction. It's good. So I will let you know as I continue to read and finish it, how it turns out. And then I'm going to be picking out a new book on Audible, because I take my dog for 3 walks a day. That's how we trained her to go to the bathroom. So I listen to a lot of books while I'm walking around the neighborhood with her. So I will probably finish another book before we meet again. And I'm hoping to come back in about 2 weeks and talk to you about some more knitting. Hopefully I'll have more finished objects and some more Christmas things cast on. And once Christmas is done, I get to knit for myself again. Yay, because I'm a selfish knitter. So I am going to go and set up Christmas with my kids, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to try to insert something here at the end that says where you can find me on the internet if you hung on this long. So take care. Bye.